Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is Jective's Affinity Review. Today was a good day because we got an update to Affinity version 3, Affinity by Canva, whatever you want to call it. We got update version 3.1. Today is March 16th, 2026. Happy early St. Patrick's Day. And happy Adobe, can you imagine? Happy Affinity Update Day. I'm gonna go through like the official announcement and stuff like that. I'll show you where to find the release notes. Everything is linked in the description. Nothing is sponsored. Go ahead and skip ahead with the chapters if you're watching the replay. But if you're following along live, go ahead and go down to the description and you will see all of the links for everything that I'm going to talk about. I got a few news stories and stuff I want to talk to before we actually hop into Affinity. But let me go ahead and show you how to download this and how to get into it. I'm going to switch my face off and put my screen cap on. There we go. As you can see, I'm on PC, so anything that might be different on Mac, usually just like keyboard shortcuts and things like that, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal. If you don't know how to get Affinity, it is free. It's been free since October 30th, or was it 29th? Late October, I think October 30th. It's been free since then. Canva released 3.0 at that time. So if you go to affinity.studio, again, linked in the description, just click Get Affinity. You'll have to make a Canva account and then you can download it for free. These are the release notes. These are also linked in the description. They are, I can zoom in a little bit on these. They are very detailed in terms of like all of the things that are going on. I'm just going to do a slow scroll here. Rogue Wave is in the chat here. I'll go ahead and let this scroll. Rogue Wave says, "Hey sir, Affinity update, awesome. Blend tool finally." I didn't see it in the notes. We can check. I don't think that there is though. Rogue Wave says, "We use Affinity 100% out of the agency. This is exciting." I am 100% on Affinity as well. A keen eye will see the little Creative Cloud button or icon down in my taskbar, but that is just for Adobe fonts. Okay, so I just wanted to scroll through this a little bit so you guys can see that there is a big long list. This is in the description. If you're watching this like years in the future, this won't be the right, like this will be different probably because this is just like help/release notes. So it's updated, it's up to date as of March 2026, but it'll probably change. Here's where I first saw it though, and that is on Affinity's Instagram. And we can get a few quick previews here of what is new. I'm gonna show you some of these. I'm gonna link you to some people that can better show you these in other cases. But what's new? This is where I first saw it 11 hours ago. Quick turnaround with this review right now. So please be forgiving if I make any mistakes. This is the big one for me. Light UI. I was so happy this finally happened. I know not everybody likes light mode. I have astigmatism. I love light mode. Dark mode, I'll switch to, but I'm primarily a light mode guy. Pixel selection of curves. I'll show you this one. not as great as you might think. This one here, I'm not gonna show this one off, but I have a great link by the developer that made this feature, so he's going to be able to explain this a lot better than I will. That will be linked in the description. And then right-click brush menu. This one's pretty cool, especially if you're someone that uses a tablet. I think I got a tablet sitting here. Yeah, I've got one tablet. I got my other tablet at home. But if you're someone that uses a tablet, click that button on there, get your brush menu right up. That'd be pretty nice. Let's go ahead and put this back in the drawer. Okay. And then the last thing they've got on here is a tone brush tool. So this is pretty similar to the other tone setting. It just makes your objects look like they actually belong in that space, and it's really impressive and really cool. I was never like a Photoshop guy. I took Photoshop. I've used it. I took Photoshop classes in university, and then I used it. And but I've never been like an Affinity photo guy. So I'm gonna pass that off to somebody that can do that much better. And that is this right here. This is the second link in the description under the other reviews. I forget what I called it. But it is from James Ritson. James Ritson, incredible videos on YouTube, 12,000 subscribers, well earned. Let me go ahead and show you his channel real quick. Just a lot of Affinity content, especially since he started doing especially since the Canva version released. He did a bunch of those before he was doing some live streams and stuff like that. Really, really great content because he is literally the man that made this stuff happen. So as part of the research team at Affinity, and when he starts this video right here, I've got it muted, but we'll let it play for a little bit in the background. He's going to show you in 5 minutes how this works much more eloquently than I could. But you can see how those boulders, like, they don't look like they fit in. And you go out, and there he is playing with the tool, and like you can see how they fit so much better in there. So that's linked in the description. It should be the second one under other people's reviews. Really cool, and right out of the horse's mouth. He is the person that made it. If you open up Affinity and you go to one of these that has a help panel on it, I think Pixels might have it. Yeah, so if you go to the help menu, you'll see this right here, and it says Ask Ritson. Like the help AI little chatbot thing is literally named after him. So that's why I'm not going to cover this, and I think that he's much more apt, much more qualified to do so. But look at how that, you can see kind of what it's doing. It's kind of like a blend mode because you can see the moon through it. I don't think you necessarily want to see the moon through that, but it's going to get you like 90% of the way there. And if you're not doing anything crazy like that, probably 100% of the way there. But you can see the big difference between these two with this new feature. So that is one. I got a complaint on my my last Affinity review, and it was that my video was way too long. So here is a 6-minute video from Affinity Revolution. Anybody that's using Affinity or used V1 or V2 probably knows Affinity Revolution. She does a lot of very quick videos, tutorials, things like that. That's not me. I don't do tutorials. I don't do these things. I do typography, and I do book reviews of typography related books, and I do Affinity coverage when there's big news, but I never do like educational Affinity stuff. So some of the things that some of the updates, I'm gonna direct you to this video as well. That way we don't waste time doing stuff that you can find somewhere else, and I can give you stuff that I think that I'm better suited to like talk about. So Affinity Revolution, James Ritson. It's early. I'm sure there will be more, but for right now, those are the ones that are up. I am going to put my face cam on real quick and read my notes. I just got like 30 seconds of my history. I guess maybe I should have done this in the beginning, but since this is an Affinity review, I wanted to give kind of my background and give you like my review of like the last 4.5 months. This will be quick, I promise. So I learned Adobe in university. I went to school for graphic design after I got my MBA, after I got my finance degree. Another story for another day. But I studied graphic design, and obviously almost every school uses Adobe. So I learned Adobe, I learned Creative Suite. We switched, then it switched to Creative Cloud. Used that for like a decade professionally afterwards. Affinity came out like right when I was graduating, like 2014 or somewhere around then, like when it first happened. In 2024, I finally made the switch to Affinity. They were giving away like 6-month trials. And so I was like, I'd hopped in and hopped out a couple of times before, like I'd done like the 30-day trials. Finally, I was on that 6-month trial, and towards the end of 2024, I was like, I'm going to see if I can go all Affinity for 2025, no Adobe, save a ton of money, just pay for Affinity one time. I think I bought it on the Black Friday, so I got a great deal out of it before it was free. I still use Adobe fonts, but yeah, I made it a whole year, absolutely no problems, never looked back on Adobe at all. And I use Affinity every single day. I did test the Canva AI stuff whenever the Affinity stuff came out. Didn't really felt like I needed it. So I just use the free version of Affinity. It does everything that I used to do on Adobe. I report typography news, like I said, book reviews, Affinity stuff. The one thing I want to note is if you're going to go look at reviews and stuff of Affinity, make sure that people actually use Affinity. I saw a lot of reviews when Affinity by Canva released because it was free, so people could access it and they could review it. People hopped on this to get views, and trust me, my video's got a bunch of views, way more than my typography stuff does. People hopped on it to get views who don't use the apps, and they gave their opinions on it. Some people gave their opinions without even opening it. There are some famous tech podcasts out there that were reporting on this and giving their comments and opinions and stuff. They've never even opened Affinity in their lives. So just know that there are a lot of articles on a lot of reviews on websites and a lot of reviews on YouTube from people that have never used Affinity. I used Affinity every day when I was using V2, and I used V3 every day since it dropped. Never looked back at V2, never looked back at Adobe. You can switch if this is something you're considering doing. Rogue Waven's in chat, he'll let you know that you can switch. Yeah, so that's that. Let me go ahead and get some stuff on the screen here. Like I said, there are going to be chapters after the live stream ends. So I am going to do a little bit more of a background before we actually get into the app. So if that's not something you want to see and you can't wait another 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just go ahead and subscribe and it'll show up in your sub feed, you know, in another 45 minutes when the stream ends. Chapters will be added like tomorrow though, or later tonight. So this is, I'm just going to go through a few different things because since Affinity released, there's been stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I don't always report on Affinity. This is an article from Business Standard, and they noted in this, I just wanted to point out, this was an interview with Ash Hewson, the CEO of Affinity. He noted that the Affinity, or that the growth in India, once they switched to the new version, was 6 times the previous growth. So 6 times. And this was 2 months after. This was October 29th. This article came out December 29th. Okay, so there it was, October 29th. 2 months after, they had gone to 6 times growth. That makes sense. It's free. His goal, he did note, was to have 20 times growth worldwide. I think he said in like 3 to 5 years, something like that. That seems completely understandable. 2 months after that, what is this? February 19th. Adobe decides they made a deal with the Indian government and they're going to offer free access to Creative Cloud to students and universities and stuff. To me, this is subjective, but this is a review, so I'm allowed to be subjective. To me, this signals Adobe is scared. At least in the sense that they saw a huge market trying out and using Affinity. To the point that they gave this away. They're giving it away to 15,000 Indian schools and 5,000 colleges for free. They used to do this a long time ago. When I was in college, I had to pay for it. So you pay for tuition, you pay for your books, and then you pay for the software. Adobe knew their monopoly was just so strong that they could make broke college kids pay to use their software. But clearly now they see Affinity growing, at least in India, 6 times over. They give their stuff away for free to the colleges. It makes sense. It's a good way to compete. Okay, so just wanted to note that. Next thing I want to note is that you will see a lot of, let me go ahead and open all of these at once so we don't have to see a bunch of things opening up here. You will see a lot of articles that look like they're actual journalism. If you look closely though, because you'll see someone's name, you'll see like an author. But if you look at this up here, it says sponsored by Adobe. This is Softonic, not as relevant as it used to be, but they wrote a whole article here about how Adobe is better than Affinity. And if you look in and you zoom in on the first paragraph here, this was written in December of last year. When the announcement landed, the new free tier of Affinity Studio, now part of Canva's subscription structure, would replace the traditional perpetual license model. Many users began to wonder whether this entry-level option could serve as a true alternative to a full creative suite like Adobe Cloud. It's a great, what is the word? It's not a tag, but like, it's a great like bait to like pull you in and read this article and be like, oh yeah, maybe like I do kind of think that Affinity might be like something I could switch to. And then you read this article that's just one giant long advertisement for Adobe, and you're like, they make the point that like Adobe is basically better at everything. I mean, that's what they're gonna say. The one thing I want to note about here, if you see this graphic design here, I was like, okay, let's see what other articles they have. The entire website, all of these articles, every single one of them is just an Adobe advertisement. If you go to the graphic design articles on Softonic, literally hundreds of articles, and they're all just written by Adobe. That's one. Reviewed, Affinity.com. Again, another one, 5 reasons to trade up to a Creative Cloud. Is this one that just like blatantly lies? No, I think that's, yeah, this is the one that blatantly lies. Okay, so sponsored content, we can see it there because it's nice and big when we're zoomed in. But if you didn't see just that little thing right there, and then this little thing right here that says this was paid for by a brand partner, you might just skim past this and be like, okay, let's read this article. They blatantly lie here about Affinity though, because they say, take for example, Canva's Affinity, which has been fairly popular for day-to-day tasks in graphic design and the like, but is now moving away from its perpetual free license and toward a subscription model. If you're starting to outgrow free software anyway, though, it might be time to switch to Adobe's Creative Cloud. This is not true. They only had the free license and the subscription at the exact same time. They had a perpetual license you could pay for, and then that was it. Canva came, bought it, put it out for free. You can pay for Canva AI if you want the AI features. Everything else was always free. This is just Adobe paying for this article to be written and like blatantly lie about Affinity. Okay, we're almost done. We'll get to the software. And then they link in the article to this here chart and clearly just once again misrepresent Canva. The last thing I want to point out is it's not just these weird sketchy sites that like get paid reviews. It's nice that a respectable design publication. They're doing the same thing. Like you'll see this right here. The only thing you would know that this was by Adobe is if you zoomed all the way in and you see this little words sponsored content. Otherwise, this looks entirely like a regular article. That's super shady on both parts. Like clearly they know, like I guess down here you've got a, down here you got a big thing, but by that point you've already read the entire article. Like it's nice that knows what they're doing. They know that if it was a big advertisement, no one would read it. And Adobe also knows that they are sneakily trying to get this stuff in. Do a lot of people do this? Yeah. I don't know if Affinity or Canva does this. Canva might do this too. I don't know. But I just want to point it out there because it really does point towards the fact that Adobe sees Affinity as a threat. Daryl, good to see you again, Daryl. Daryl says, I used Corel since 1998. Old head, I see you. Preferred to Adobe, but I own Affinity too and support them. Cool. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I used Corel software. I don't even remember what it was, though. It was just on like the school computers and stuff. But yeah, I have V2. We're going to look at that just to compare it to the UI real quick. But let me know what you like about Corel, Daryl. Is it just like that you've used it for so long you still like it, or you genuinely think it's better than the other two options? And for any Linux users, I know there are a lot of more options than just two, but we're talking about the big ones here. So let me get into this update here. Like I said, the updates are linked in the description, and there's more concise reviews if you guys check the description and you don't want to listen to me blabber, but we're actually getting into it now. So first thing here, I just got a couple notes for myself. Home screen. If you click the A up in the top left there, it'll bring you to your home screen right here. There are some new settings for this. So if you go to your settings, home screen is now in there, and we can turn on and off like this stuff here. I move my files around so much that you see a lot of mine are blank there, but you can turn on and off your recent documents. You can turn on and off your templates. I do have some templates, but I'm not sure. Yeah, oh, my presets are there. So I guess there's a difference between templates and presets. You can turn off favorites. Notably though, you can't turn off Welcome to Affinity. I would love to turn off these tutorials. I don't need these tutorials. I'm a professional. I don't, like, it's cool that they're there, but please let me get rid of them and put something more relevant on the screen. Okay, that's just the home screen though. Let me go ahead and show you one new thing here with the tabs. So I only have one open right now, but let me go ahead and just throw another one on here real quick. So we got a couple of them open. If you right click the tabs now, you get this drop down menu, and it can show the zoom, you can show the color format, and you can show the document size. I don't know how useful that is. I apologize. I wish I could zoom in on that, but just trust me, it's there. Pinch and zoom on your screen if you're on a phone. If you're on a computer or a TV, hopefully you can see that. But yeah, so I don't know how useful these are. I kind of like just having it nice and clean. I could definitely see the color profile being useful though. If you were working in CMYK and RGB and you wanted to just be like, okay, which one's for digital, which one's for print, I could see that being super useful. But for me, 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, I'm digital. I'm not worried about print. So like, I love having that nice and clean now. I think that you always used to have the zoom on there. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so that is that. The biggest thing for me is light mode. Once again, I know this isn't for everyone, but let me go ahead and show you what the options are on this one. Once again, go into settings and we can go down to the user interface. And you've got your typical ones, you know, your background, your artboards, text contrast, UI brightness. But now we've got UI style, dark and light. The only thing that would make this more perfect if you could set it to automatic. Since there are like refinements within this, maybe that would be a problem, but I think you could just be able to do dark, light, and then whatever your settings are for each one of those, it just goes to those. That would be my ideal scenario. Everything else on my computer goes dark or light based on that, except for Affinity. And Moho. Moho I'd have to change to, but that's super independent. So here's dark, here's light. You're probably already used to the dark one, so you can go like super like black, dark. And then you can go like kind of like a really washed out one. When I first got it, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can use this before they had a light mode, but this is just worse than the regular dark mode, so I didn't bother with that. Light mode though, there are some refinements with light mode that I think some people might actually like. I really liked, this is one thing I really did miss about Adobe while I was using this, but V2 did have light mode and dark mode. But Adobe had really nice, they had 4 different steps where it was like super dark, medium, and light. And I kind of like the light one, but every now and then I would switch to like a gray version like this. It reminded me of like the old school Blender. If anybody used like Blender, I don't know, Blender like 2.0 or 1.5 or something like that, it used to be like just a dark gray. Like there was no black, there was no light, it was just gray. But yeah, so you can click high contrast, going to take you all the way light to the text contrast, all the way black. This is a little too blown out for me. I like the default. Let me check chat real quick, and then I got a UI bug that I noticed in here. Daryl is saying it's always been. So I asked Daryl about what he liked about Corel. Daryl says it's always been able to do everything Adobe can. Corel Draw versus Illustrator, Photo Paint versus Photoshop. Even uses third-party 8BF filters. I'm not sure what BF is. Scripts. Adobe was only first to implement generative AI. I prefer Affinity Publisher to Corel options though. Gotcha. Yeah, I mainly used, when I was on Adobe, I mainly used Illustrator. When I switched to Affinity, I got way more into typography and I mainly used Publisher. So me moving from InDesign to Publisher was like, holy shit, this is so much better. There are definitely features that were missing when I first moved over, and I think some people might still have features they're missing. I know it doesn't have right to left, but as far as the speed and the stability, Affinity is so much better than InDesign, in my opinion. Okay, so here's the bug that I noticed, and it is if you're doing the UI brightness, so I've got my Objectives green on there, and you can see the green gets darker. And then you move it all the way up and the green gets like, I don't know, like a pastel green almost. It's so bright. Let's pick a red color. Let's just go full red here. So if you pick full red, you can see how bright it is right there. As I take it down, the red gets, the red doesn't seem like it changes though. So maybe this is like a straight up bug because, so I have my swatches on here and I can choose my Objectives green. At default, it's pretty close. I think you actually have to pull it down to like here to get like the actual green color of my brand. But if I pull it down, it darkens to me feels like a bug. I could see them doing it to be like, hey dummy, don't use a color that you can't see, but I would prefer just to let me make that mistake and let me pick the exact color that I want because I have my, I know my hex code by heart. I put it in anytime I can customize to get my color of green and it's just messed up here. Small detail, maybe you won't even care at all, but there's just no way to actually get the color you want unless you set your UI at exactly the color they want you to. So you can do it manual, you can do default, and you can do system. But I had it on manual just so I could show you that you actually can't set it. Daryl says, the thing I wish Affinity Publisher had was the ability to do fillable PDF forms. I think you told me that once before when I first started the channel. Yeah, I knew there was someone that had said there was something missing. Yeah, the fact that PDFs are the standard and like Adobe created them, like they're really good at locking people in. The other thing I wanted to note here about the light mode is that there are still no, close that. There are still no color icons. So you can see on the right here, I've got Publisher open. And anybody that used V2, a lot of people seem to like these color icons. I do think they're much easier to glance and just see. Much easier than the mono ones. The mono ones, I would say, feel more professional. You know, they're more like Adobe. When I used to be on Adobe and I would see people using apps with like colored icons, I was like, ugh, like what is this tacky, cheap app? But once you use it, then you're like, oh yeah, I can identify such stuff much faster. I think the other side of that is like, most of the tools that you always use will just be keyboard shortcuts in your brain and you're never gonna actually like need to look for the icons. But when you do and they all kind of look the same, like look at these brushes, there's 3 different brushes on here, 4 different brushes on here, and they all look super similar. Yeah, the color icons were better. Just think about your phone. Like if you've ever turned all of your icons on your phone to monochrome, or if you've ever accidentally like tapped the wrong app because it's the exact same color as the app you meant to tap, that's the difference between monotone and color. Okay, so pen tool. Let me just copy and paste these real quick so you guys can see what was added as I read it to you. I apologize. Give me 1 second. I'm going to paste these in. I'm going to paste these in so you can see these as I read them off. Just do this. Oh, that's huge. Let's just hit Roboto here. Once again, this is like a 8-hour, 9-hour turnaround here, so please bear with me. Okay. And that's terrible. What is going on here? 1 second. 1 second. It's this. Okay. That looks okay. I know this isn't super professional. Okay, so these are the notes that they had. So these are pen tool updates. While drawing with the pen tool, the P key cancels further drawing of the current curve. I'm going to demonstrate all these, but I just want to let you look at them. I like to read things as they're spoken sometimes. Alt-clicking any node converts it to a sharp node. Alt-dragging any node converts it to a sharp node and mirrors the control handle length. This one kind of threw me for a loop. I'm going to show you why. Shift click on any node to add a sharp node, and click on any node to delete it. Rubber band mode, I'm not really a fan of. I've got it on so you guys can see what it is, but rubber band mode is on by default now. And then all pen tool general settings are remembered across documents and sessions. So let me go ahead. Let's switch to the vector mode here. Where did I stick that? Oh, okay. I'm going to delete that because I didn't mean to have it in that order. I'm going to show you how this pen tool works real quick. We'll go through these different things. So pen tool is P. It works really similar to Adobe, but I actually find it much smoother. But if you have that muscle memory from Adobe, it's going to take you a second. So here's the rubber banding on there. It's always going to show you that line. For me, I find this distracting just because I learned to do it in school. I don't know, I guess I was on CS5 back then, CS 5.5 maybe by the time I graduated. And that rubber banding, I remember when Adobe added it and just throws me for a loop because I already know where I want it to be and it just feels distracting. Okay, so as we're going through, you can see right now this is stuck with the handle still there. Sorry, I know it's not super easy to see. If you alt click on this, it's going to give you a handle that appears like it's still smooth, but it's actually not. It's actually now a sharp one. You can tell the difference between a sharp and a smooth one by the anchors. So that anchor there is circular. This anchor here is square, and that means that it's going to be sharp. So basically when they say sharp, that just means that it's going to be broken. You can let's say I make an anchor point right here and I don't mean to. Now you can just click it again with the pen as you're working, and it's supposed to delete it, but it doesn't look like it's going to. I don't know. Maybe I have to make the next one first. Okay, so you got to make the next one first. I guess you can't delete the last point. That's kind of strange. There is a reason that I'm doing this right now, so we're going to come back to this clover in just a second. So this isn't entirely wasted right now. What I should be doing though right now is I should be alt-clicking as I go. Let me go ahead and undo all of this. If you alt-click as you go, it's just like Adobe where it'll make the broken one right off the bat. So you alt-click as you're holding it down, and it's way faster to do it like this. And I know I'm breaking some rules here as far as how you should place your anchors and things. Looks like I messed up that one there. Man, my muscle memory is just not there today. I apologize. Honestly, I don't use pen tool as much. I used to do illustrations professionally. I used to do editorial illustrations. I did some for Rob Report. I did some for a presidential campaign. But after switching to Adobe, Affinity, I've been pretty much all typography, and just not a lot of reasons to use the pen tool in there. Okay, so you could always use the small, what would you call this? I don't even know, direct selection tool. Maybe they call it a node tool here. If you hold Alt option on that or Alt, it'll break it for you too. Let me just fix this one thing because I want to show you. See, here's one of the rules I broke. You should never have your handles past the other handles. I break that rule pretty often as long as it still looks good, but that one did not look good. Okay, so that's the pen tool. You can hold option now. They're basically just different keyboard shortcuts that will that'll make your life easier once you know what they are. One thing that's nice about this, about Affinity, Adobe has like a corner type tool, but it's just not the same as this one. So if I hit C right now, I know you can't see it, I hit C on my keyboard, I can make these corners, I can make corners out of this. What Adobe does when you do something like that, and this could have changed, I haven't used it in 2 years. What Adobe does when you do that is it puts 2 anchor points there. So if I convert this to a curve real quick, it puts 2 anchor points here, and then there's no way to adjust this corner anymore without deleting those and completely redoing it. What Affinity does is there's this anchor that's just always there, or this corner that's always there, and you can always make it bigger or smaller. And you can select multiple. So like if we wanted that one to be a little bit smooth, let's say these 2 down here, we want to make these be a little bit smooth. I'm hitting C for corner, and then you can pull both of these in at once. So that remains editable, and that's a great thing. That's a common theme in Affinity, is that things just stay editable. So why did I bother doing that? Well, because I'm going to show you what this looks like compared to the pixel selection, because this was one of the things that they advertised. Let me go ahead and open that up for you again. This is one of the things they advertised with the updates, and it is this right here, this pixel selection to curves. So you can do any selection method you want. You can do lasso, you can do object selection, you can do the magic wand, the brush, doesn't matter. But you can see what they're basically showing you that you can do. Like, you make a selection, you convert to curves, it makes it like a vector curve. It looks like, oh, cool, like this is gonna be super fast and super clean. Like, that dog looks really nice. Like, this will be great. I can make a logo in 2 seconds. Much like live trace, or they call it, I think, image trace on here. It's just not the case. So let me go ahead and show you. I've got we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up tomorrow. So I've got a pretty simple thing. It does have glitter on the edges here. So, I didn't want to make it too easy for them, but we have the coins and stuff too. I'm going to do the selection on this, this clover right here. And I'm going to use, let me go ahead and switch to pixel mode. I'm just going to use the regular brush. I'm not going to do the object select one because the object select one takes forever. I don't know why. What am I doing here? It's not selecting anything. Am I on the wrong? Maybe I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. Okay. I apologize. There we go. So that little brush selects it all pretty much in 1 second. If you do quick select, hit the Q. So if you have something selected and you hit Q, you'll be able to see really quick like what's selected. It'll put that red mask on it for you. So if you want to check real quick, just go ahead and hit Q. So I'm not going to refine this. We can hit that part right there and get like that big obvious spot. But I think for the most part, you see, then you start, the way that they showed it is how I'm going to try to show it to you here. We'll refine that little part right there too. So hit Q again to get out of that. You can see the little marching ants going on there. There are two different ways to do this. One is just go up to vector here and you'll be able to do convert to curves. The keyboard shortcut for that is Control Return. On Mac, that would obviously be Command Enter or Return or whatever they call it. So if I hit Control Enter right now, it turns it into a vector. Let me go ahead and make this the default. And you can see just how ugly that is. But, you know, if you've never, ever used a pen tool before, and you just have to have a vector object right then, I mean, you know, it's something. But let me just show you the nodes here. So you can see all the nodes that are on this convert to curve one from the selection. And then you can see mine here, where we've got perfect nodes that just, you know, they go where they should go. So when they're doing that logo from the dog, like, I just don't think, I wouldn't even say that it's like a good start. In my brain, I was like, ah, cool. Like, you could probably do it and then like refine your points and stuff like that, but it adds so much garbage on there. And I know I did this super fast, but that's what they did in this example. Like, they made it seem like just boom, click it and go. But you can even see how much is messy in there. Like, if you're going to spend the time to refine a mask, man, just use the pen tool. It'll be so much faster, I promise. I just wanted to compare this to image trace real quick, because if you were thinking like, oh, don't we already kind of have that with image trace? Let me go ahead and leave this here for a second. We'll select this one. If you want to do an image trace, this was something that was added with version 3 with Canva. So we click image trace, and you don't have like the thing with Adobe where you had, someone correct me and let me know what it's called, but I think it was called Live Trace. With Live Trace, you could actually pick the number of colors that you wanted. So if you wanted just like a logo like this, just black and white, you could do that. Of course, it wasn't going to look great, but it looked better than that. With Affinity, you've just got these two sliders here. So you've got edge threshold and you've got curve fitting tolerance. And this looks, you know, this looks fine. Like, if you just wanted kind of that aesthetic, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me go ahead and show you the before and after on this. So this is, let's do a split screen on it. Here we go. Trying to get this out of the way. Okay, so here's the split screen. Before, after, kind of split the bow tie here. You could see, like, it doesn't look like it, but it doesn't look terrible. But if we were trying to do this for a logo, we've got this shape here with the clover. Even if you made it as simple as possible, you're getting all of this extra junk on here. So you're just not gonna, you can't use image trace for this. So this is a good addition for somebody that wants, you know, to be able to make like a silhouetted shape like this. But please just learn pen tool. You'll save so much time, so many headaches, and it's something that will serve you for many years to come. I was going to show you how to do it with this kangaroo being Canva being from Australia, but I think we all get the point, right? Jay Stewart Jr. says, Adobe middle finger to the rest of the world. I don't know if that means you use Adobe or if that means you're saying Adobe gave the middle finger to the rest of the world. Either way, welcome to the live stream. Let me check my notes real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything on the pen tool or the other thing. Okay, no. Right-click brush menu. This is something that's really, really useful, I think. I don't do a lot of digital painting and stuff, and most people that do probably use Procreate. They might use, what is it, Adobe call it? Adobe Fresco, I think, or maybe they just use Photoshop. But there are really good brushes in here. I wish they did have vector brushes. They still don't have true vector brushes. If you're coming from Adobe, if you're coming from Inkscape, probably even Daryl, you let me know if Corel has real vector brushes, but Affinity still does not. You can make a pixel brush follow a vector curve and it'll, like, you know, generate it and stuff, and it's kind of cool, but it's not a vector brush that you can expand and use. So right click brush menu. If I switch to pixel menu, press the B key, that's going to give me my brush. I can draw. Let me Okay, it added a pixel layer for me. I can draw, if I pick a color, I can draw just with my regular brush. Imagine you're drawing, right click. You can adjust your stuff right here now. Boom, boom, boom. Can you do your color? No, you can't do your color, but you can still just come right up here and do your colors and stuff. But you can do all of this with a right click now, and you can go through the normal brushes. One thing I noticed, you cannot move this. I'm trying to like drag and move it right now like you would a typical panel. Here's the typical brush panel right here. You could pull this out. You can resize it. I'm catching the brush there. You can resize this. You can move it wherever you want to. That's great. That's one thing that a lot of people do with Procreate. They can move their panel wherever they want. Can't do that. But in terms of the brush panel there, you right click and that's where it's going to be. Probably going to be pretty useful if you're using a pen, you know, just you click the button to right click, change your brush real quick, click it to right click, and you don't have to press. I saw a review where they said you had to press escape to get rid of it. You don't, just click off the screen. Well, it's going to use your brush though, I guess. So maybe you could press escape. But yeah, so it seems pretty useful. You can do all the stuff that you used to have to click into it to do. So you can see there's nowhere to like edit these brush settings and stuff. You got your brush menu right here. You used to have to double click to go in here and then you could edit these things. You could still do this and there's way more settings in here, but just in general, the right click, being able to pick a different brush, then go ahead and draw with that one instead. Seems like a very welcomed feature. Okay, let's move on. Editable swatches. So you could always edit your swatches. You can see mine over here. I've got my Objectives colors and then I've got the Affinity lime green on there, but two fills that you could not edit once they were made into swatches were the hatch pattern, which is on the left here, and the gradients. So I just want to demonstrate this for you real quick. I already made these so we don't have to see us make them, but if you want to do it, you just hit the G key. So let me make a new one just real quick. So you hit that, you hit the G key for gradient, and then you can do whatever you want on your square. Go up to the drop down here and you can pick between solid, elliptical, mesh, hatch, whatever you want. Another day, lesson for another day. Not for me though, I don't teach lessons. Use the help feature up here. Just go up here, go to help, and learn how to do a gradient. It's super useful. It's really, really fast. The menu in here the help menu in here is genuinely helpful. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we've got hatch on the right here, or on the left here. And if I just add this as a swatch, you can see it popped up right here. And there it is. You can edit your hatch right from here if you want to. Now it's not a live swatch, so you're gonna have to go here and then you'll have to click it again to change it. But still, before you would have to make the swatch and then there was no way to edit it. So same thing with the gradient here. I'll go ahead and add this one. And if I want to change this one to that one, there we go. I don't know. Oh, it's because I had so with the hatch, I had things moved in different places. There we go. So it's not going to be like exactly because, what was I saying? If you're switching from one to the other, like I just did, you're going to have to adjust it and things like that, because that fill line, like this one that you're dropping on here, like this thing, if you drop it on one into a different place, if you have this line set up on one like this, and then I have this one set like that, and then I switch these both to the hatch, like it's gonna look crazy. They're not gonna be exactly the same, but still, it's nice to have these editable things. And typically you're not like, typically with like gradient and stuff like that, it's gonna be set up and you're gonna draw the gradient on there and then you're gonna pick your swatch. Or you're gonna pick your swatch and then you're gonna draw your gradient. There's not a lot of times where it's gonna be perfect the first time regardless. Okay, gonna get a drink of water, talking fast. There is a new glitch filter. It is called Data Blocks Glitch Filter, and you can see what's going on right here. It's pretty crazy. But it might appear to be like the Pixelate, but it's not actually. Let me go ahead and show you on the text. Let's go ahead and do a new one here, and then we can come back to that if we want to. We got our friendly little kangaroo here. So if I double click the glitch one, I've already got the glitch there. If you don't know how to do it, you can go down to filters on the bottom left here and you can pick your glitch from there, or you can go up to the top, go to pixel filters, and you can go to, I think, distort. Yeah, distort and then glitch from there. What's going to be the difference between the bottom and the top? Not much, just where it gets placed. So if I go up to the text here, you can see with the text, my glitch is inside of my text layer here, and it's on the eyeball. Those ones would be the filter at the bottom. If you do the one at the top up in the menu, it's going to put it on here as a layer like this. The good thing about this, you can take it, you can drop it in here, put it inside, and then it's inside of that. I can do the same with the text. I can just take this. If I want to take it off of there, I can take and drop it above the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter which one you do whichever one you like better, and then just move it if you need to move it. You might have noticed something here, and that is when I pull this out of there, right now, since it's inside of the text layer, you can see it over here on the left, the glitch is inside of that text layer. If I take it out and put it on top, it glitches the whole thing. It glitches every layer below it. So you're starting to get some of those like lime greens pulled into this text here. And if we open this up and we edit the block size on this, oh, it's really messing up. Oh, I made the blocks huge. If you make the block sizes like bigger, you're pulling in a lot more of that green, the lime green and stuff like that. So I'm going to cancel that and move on to this guy so we can do a live one here. So what it does, I think that you would use it more on like a picture like this, but it definitely looks cool on the text. So just like all the other live glitch ones, this one's all the way at the bottom. It's going to be live. You're going to be able to edit it anytime you need to. It's not destructive. First thing you pick is data blocks from the method all the way at the bottom because it's brand new. I did read that they updated and added more stuff to some of the other glitches, but since they didn't specifically note which ones they are, I'm not going to be able to show you because I didn't use the glitches enough to like, I wouldn't know which one was which or like what's new and what's not. Okay, so we've got our nice little kangaroo here. Block size is the first thing on here, and it is very sensitive. Let me click it first. We're not on the right layer. I apologize. Let me go to this guy right here. That's one thing I noted about Affinity. I often find myself on the wrong page. Probably wouldn't happen as much if I used artboards, but since I like to use the pages, I do end up having that happen quite a bit. Okay. Am I still on the wrong one? Here we go. Yeah, okay, we were on aberration there. Okay, data blocks. First thing you do is pick your block size. And it's very sensitive. Like I said, you can see it's starting to do like a little bit of pixelation. I'm going to zoom in a second, so we'll be able to see this much, much better. But you can see as you make the blocks size bigger, you can get it completely huge. And then you kind of get like that editorial look. You've probably seen this in like a magazine or something before where there's just giant colorful blocks coloring the screen. I think about here, you know, we can still kind of tell what it is. It looks like it's pixelated. It's not. What it is, it's doing a filter. It's almost like it's doing a pixel filter on top of the image, but you can still see very sharply the deer's ears there, or not the deer, he kind of looks like a deer's head, huh? You can still see all of the hair. You can still see all of the outline shapes and everything. So it's actually like glitching on top of the image. So it's not doing the pixel thing. I'll show you what a pixel looks like. If we turn on the pixel filter, this is also just in the filters, pixel filter actually pixelates it. So if you want pixels, don't use the glitch. If you want a pixel-ish glitch, then use the use this glitch filter. Okay, so the next thing you can do with the glitch filter, this data blocks one, after you pick your size, then you can pick horizontal and vertical displacement. This is where it gets kind of cool because it keeps that static image underneath, like I said. But when you do the horizontal displacement, what it does is it displaces those shapes. So it's almost like you've got a pixelated, why can I not remember kangaroo? Pixelated kangaroo here that we're kind of like breaking him apart vertically, or her. But the underlying picture still stays there. So you probably can't really see it great right here. Let's do a different blend mode here. We might be able to see it a little better. No, doesn't look like it. Okay, so we'll just keep it there. But you might be able to see his ears right there. You can definitely see his eye real sharp there. If we change the block size here, we might be able to get that to move away from his eye. Let's see, horizontal displacement. No, it's just gonna go in that one spot. Okay, let me undo that real quick. Oh, the color actually did change there. Okay, so we got the color change. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe my GPU is struggling since I'm live streaming at the same time. But you can see it much better when we're in multiply mode. So I'm going to leave it on multiply just so we can kind of see what's going on a little bit better. But you can see as we do the bigger block sizes, you can see that it's perfectly on there. Maybe multiply is not the best for actually demonstrating this. Let's go back to normal here. So you can see it's doing it vertically or horizontally. You can do it vertically and just like really, really mess it up. I said this when we first got these glitch filters. This would be a lot cooler if you could animate it, because if it's just static, you know, I don't know how useful this really is. It's kind of cool to play around with, but in terms of like actual use, I'm just not sure. So if we mess it up a little bit, do the block distribution, you can kind of like really glitch it up so then they're not perfect squares anymore. This third, fourth line here, block distribution, it just like moves them around differently so that they overlap and stuff. It's pretty cool, but you know, I think it looked a lot cooler before I messed up everything. Let me go ahead and see if I can turn this one here off. It's not going to be, oh, let me close that. It's not going to be a pixel one though. So you can see the eyeball here that I've glitched out. It can look cool. It really does look like a glitch thing, but if you want the pixelated filter thing, it's not actually going to be like a pixelated filter. You just use the pixelated filter. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk about. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, I guess that's going to be it for now. Like I said, I'm going to talk about enshittification in 2 seconds, but just for anybody that wasn't here at the beginning, there are links in the description for everything. Go to the second link, probably. The first one's to download it. Second link goes to the official notes here, so you can see every single thing that changed. If you go to Affinity, if you go to their Instagram, you can see like a quick little preview of they shout out like 3, 4, 5 things here. I showed a couple of those. If you want a 6-minute review that kind of gives you the highlights, go check out Affinity Revolution. You can see here, she's got, I don't know, 10 or 12 different ones she burns through real quick. If you want, straight from the horse's mouth, James Ritson here, doing a breakdown of the new tone maps, or not tone maps, what do they call them? Live tone blends, where you can like blend the images together and make them look much nicer in terms of the color. He developed this, he can explain it much better. So that's why I'm not going to cover every single little thing. I think it's better to let some people do those. Enshittification, the last thing I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my face cam on for this, and then we'll get out of here after this. I appreciate everyone that's here right now. If there's something you want to see, let me know now, and I can pull it up real quick. But the biggest thing for me was having light mode. Finally, I'm so glad it's here. Enshittification. People, like, we saw that article earlier where Adobe sponsored the article, they paid for it to be written, and then they just blatantly lied about how Affinity is going away from the free perpetual license and moving towards subscriptions. Not what happened, but that's what people feared. Adobe knew that didn't happen because they wrote that article two months after Affinity by Canva released. But enshittification is like a real thing we need to pay attention to. Canva recently acquired Cavalry, and being in the Affinity ecosystem and seeing how well Affinity has done under Canva's watch, I'm excited for Cavalry to get better, because right now it's good, but it's not great. It's not very user-friendly for beginners at all. But Canva is working its way towards an IPO, an initial public offering. They are going to go from being a private company to being a public company that's traded on the stock exchange. There's a reason that all of the public companies have undergone enshittification. There's a reason that Adobe, Apple, Google, Facebook, or Meta, Amazon, like all of the companies seem to be like good when you first get it. Uber's a good example too, I guess. All of them seem to be like good. They work for the user, and then they switch modes, and then they're going to work for like business, and they started making the user experience worse, and then they switched to just squeezing as much money as they can out of the businesses. All of this to say, right now, Affinity is owned by a private company. People have claimed all kinds of things. Affinity is going to be terrible. It's worse now. They don't do this. They don't do that. For me, I've never looked back at V2. The day that V3 came out, I did a live stream. You can go watch it. The day it came out, I downloaded it, used it. I've never, unless I'm doing a review showing you guys something, I've never even opened up the V2 apps again. V3 is good, but if Canva goes public and then it's beholden to shareholders instead of its users, Enshittification, the app becoming worse, certain pieces only being available to subscriptions, them switching to like Affinity V4 and then charging for it. These things are all entirely possible. And I think as Affinity users or just, creatives in general, this is something we need to be very vigilant about and pay attention to. As soon as there's any sign of it, everybody needs to push back. I forgot something really important. I'm going to show this at the end. I just want to point that out. There's nothing, in my opinion, I am still, I wouldn't call myself a fanboy, but I am very much a fan of Affinity, and I've been a fan of what Canva has done for Affinity. I was never a Canva lover before this. I'm a professional graphic designer. Like, Canva always kind of seemed like, but the way that they've handled Affinity has been really good, in my opinion. Should it have taken 4.5 months to get a light mode that we already had in V2? No. But 4.5 months is pretty fast compared to what a lot of companies have done. The thing I wanted to note that is really actually optimistic, and I think that this could be a sign whether they go Enshittification or full like hero mode, and that is something I entirely skipped, which is Affinity on Linux. Let me pull this up real quick. This came out back in, before I switch modes here. Daryl made a comment here that said, if public business decisions become driven by investor profits. Absolutely. That's just what happens. And I mean, that's literally like, you have a legal obligation. If you have a publicly traded company, you have a legal obligation to your shareholders to maximize their value. And the way to maximize their value doesn't actually have to be to like make the experience worse for everyone, because over the long run, it does just make you hate the product. But people don't think that way. CEOs can get voted out every quarter, every earnings call. So they have to show shareholders, what they're doing to make them money. Let's end on a positive note, though. An optimistic note, we'll say, because we don't know if it's actually going to happen. So Canva opened up a location in Johannesburg in South Africa, and that's where this article was being written. Duncan McLeod wrote both of these. I apologize, Duncan, if I'm saying that wrong. This article actually came out back in November, and it was with the head. They went to the location to go talk to them, and it was with this guy right here. This is Liam Fisher, Global Marketing Lead for Affinity by Canva. And at the end of this article, just like as a one-off here, it says, the company revealed it is giving serious consideration following customer requests to port the software to Linux. No final decision has been made about the developing a Linux version, but company executives suggested it is likely to happen. Let me just note, like, prior to V3, when it was on V2 and Affinity was a private company owned by Serif, and now they're a private company owned by Canva. But when it was by Serif made it very clear, we are not making a Linux version. We don't have the money to do that. The users aren't there. We're not going to do Linux. Stop asking. So the fact that this actually has turned around now that Canva owns it, and they're saying here that a company executive suggests it's likely to happen. They did a follow-up article, obviously, because I can't even imagine how much traffic this got. And then they named the person that said it, Liam Fisher here. And it says there's no green light yet, but the global marketing lead for Affinity by Canva, Liam Fisher, told Tech Central that it's being discussed seriously internally and that it is one of the top requests from users of the software. I remember when this article came out, I posted on every Linux, every Affinity thing being like, guys, if you really want this, go ask for it. Because I would love to move away from Windows if I could. I dual boot right now with Fedora 43 KDE, but obviously you can see I'm on Windows. I have to have Windows right now. The thing I wanted to look at down here is, if I can find it. If not, I'll just go ahead and paraphrase it. I'm gonna have to paraphrase it. It said that right now they are working on, go back up to Liam here. Right now, they're working on the iPad versions of Canva. So they're trying to get out the V3 version for iPad. That's where all their focus is. Obviously, we just got a minor update with 3.1 today with great features, but they're working to get the iPad version out for Affinity 3.0, Affinity by Canva. But it says that after they do that, the Linux port is likely to be the next focus. This is all just talk, so take it with a giant grain of salt, but I don't know. It's optimistic, and it's good to have competition. So that's why I point this out at the end next to the Enshittification, not because I completely forgot to mention it, but because I do think that will be very telling. If they go public and they still make the Linux version, or if they make the Linux version before they go public, like this is going to be a big signal as to like who they're actually going to be trying to help out. But like Daryl noted, if they go public, like they have a legal obligation to their shareholders. That doesn't mean they have to treat the users like shit. That doesn't mean they have to make the product worse. But a bad CEO and a bad management and a bad board will push for that to maximize short-term profits. That is the end of Affinity Review 3.1 update. I know these are long-winded. Like I said, there are other ones you can go to watch that are shorter. You can go click the links in the description. But hopefully I painted a good picture and let you know like how my experience has been with Affinity 3.0 and some of the new features that are available on 3.1. I do cover Affinity with big updates, but typically I cover typography news. That's my flagship program, Typography News. I do book reviews of type and design books. So if that's what you're interested, subscribe. If not, I'll see you with the next Affinity review whenever that comes up. Daryl, good to see you again. Rogue Wave, thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody that stopped by. I'm Ben Curtis Simpson. This was Affinity Review. Bye.